WanderingWinder here. A new set has just been released, and that means, unsurprisingly, there's some new Dominion homework for us to all do. Uh, Today I'd like to cover Groom rushes, and we're going to focus on Gardens and Silk Road, but talk a little bit about some of the others. I want to give some special thanks here to Akuchi, Kaplane, and H.exe for testing some of this out and posting about it. So they're doing the good work of help spreading the message on this stuff, even if some of them don't like that it exists. But the basic idea here is Groom is on the board with some green card that it can naturally gain. Gardens and Silk Roads are the most straightforward ones, and that's what we're going to cover most in depth here. But there is some version that works for any of the other green cards besides Estate that Groom can, in fact, gain here. We'll talk a little bit more about the other versions at the end. But basically what you want to do is get Groom whenever you can get Groom. When you have terminal collision of the grooms in your hand, use any grooms left to get green cards. And then once the grooms are gone, just use all your grooms to get green cards. And you're going to pile out on, in this case, grooms, gardens, and estates. And it's fairly straightforward like that. There's a lot of little optimizations, but in the non-mirror, it's pretty straightforward. Sometimes you have to figure out, do I want to play this horse now or not? Sometimes you have to figure out, aha, I know that I'm very likely to draw a groom if I gain a green card here, so I'm going to do that. But in general, that's all it is. Typically, it's around 12 turns only to empty piles. Your gardens will usually be worth 4 points, although it's kind of on the low 40s, so you do have to watch that a little bit. Some slow draws can get there. It's only turn 13. I guess very slow draws might be a little slower. Fast draws, turn 11. I'm not sure if faster than turn 11 is possible, but that's what it tends to do. Silk Roads, you end up with 19 green cards, so it's very, very likely they'll be worth 4. And if somehow you can snipe a duchy as well or something, then they could even be worth 5. But let's just go in and play a game, an example game, to show how this works. So we get grooms first, and this is actually an incredibly good draw. I'm going to keep getting grooms. I'll take another silver here. In fact, I maybe should already be taking estate. I don't think so, but it's not out of the question. Okay, good draws to bad draws here. If I were actually playing at farmland, but I'm just trying to show what this does without any aid. Now with 2, I definitely am going to buy estate. Going to keep getting grooms. Yeah, I'm going to buy estate now. Trigger this shuffle. Get a groom. Get the last groom. Gardens, 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 estate, estate, horse, estate, estate, estate. So this is turn 12, as you can see. Very, very normal. 43 points. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And that's actually just going to be, so I had good draws early, bad draws later on. They averaged out. This is a pretty average case to get turn 12 here. In the mirror, you probably want to go for green early, but you have to pay attention to a lot of stuff. So do pay attention to what your opponent's doing. But you probably need to get green cards earlier. It's very plausible in certain cases. You saw I had extra money. You might be able to buy a duchy now and then. I don't think that's usually going to be good because you usually want to rush things down. But, sometimes it might come up that you want to do stuff. Now let's talk a little bit about other versions. So islands and mills, when you gain them with your grooms, they get you more horses, which accelerates you a little bit. That acceleration is not a huge acceleration, but it's something. It's not like you're playing the islands or being particularly happy about playing the islands for their base effect. So that's not a big deal. You're scoring fewer points, obviously. The big deal, though, is with mill, you can buy, well, you could see here we could even buy duchies fairly often. With mill, you can buy provinces. Now, how regularly you can buy them, I don't know. I haven't tested it extensively, but while doing this pile out, you can buy a province or two or three. So that's also going to be, I think, not quite as strong as this, but still pretty strong. Tunnel is pretty weak, but sometimes it might be relevant. The 2 points cemetery, right? You got to trash some cards to speed up finding more grooms, but again, fewer points is a big downside. And then Fiatdom. Fiatdom is maybe the most interesting one because you obviously need to spend some grooms getting silvers as well, and the order to do that versus getting the Fiatdoms is not so clear. And in fact, also, it's not so clear whether you try to play it as a rush to empty piles quickly as much versus playing a long game where it can score a lot of points, which it definitely can score a lot of points to just outscore provinces without taking too terribly long, without trying, and also without helping empty them. So I'm not sure the optimal way to play that. There's all kinds of things to keep in mind there, but do keep in mind that interaction is also an interaction to be aware of. But for now, just quick and easy. Watch out for Groom with these green cards, particularly Gardens and Silk Road. You rush them down, you score 43 points, which is more than 6 provinces worth. And so it's very hard to beat this fast, right? This many points on turn 12. It's certainly possible if the rest of the board is very strong and strong enough to be able to enable it. But it's not going to be a common thing that this gets beat. So that's why this is Dominion Homework. Thanks for watching, and remember to do your homework.